What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including potential spoilers on the Miz's championship reign and how long it'll last, and who's up next, how Vince stopped Sasha Banks from leaving WWE, why did Morrison replace Keith Lee, angry Miz girl reacted to the Miz's second WWE championship win, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's do the intro and get straight into the first story. Now, first story is a spoiler for the Miz's WWE Championship reign, so if you don't want to know, of course, move on ahead. The Miz is now a two-time WWE champion thanks to a successful Money in the Bank cash-in and a little help from Bobby Lashley, and now fans are wondering what the future holds for WWE's A-lister. Now, while these rumors are unconfirmed, it looks like the Miz's reign may be short-lived, as WrestleVotes is reporting it's that time of year. Lots of misinformation between sources, which happens around WrestleMania. However, from source, a WWE title match, the Miz is not scheduled to be involved. As of now, Bobby Lashley is. Dave Meltzer added to the speculation, noting on the Wrestling Observer Radio that Damian Priest and Bad Bunny vs The Miz and John Morrison, that was the match that was originally for WrestleMania, and I presume it still will be. Bunny and Damian Priest will be involved in, you don't want him to be the reason he loses a title, especially if it's to McIntyre, but they'll probably be involved in some form of that to set up the other match. I'm just going to guess. It just makes sense to do it that way, but yeah, it's kinda tricky. Meltzer is right in that it could hurt McIntyre if Bad Bunny were to directly aid him in winning the championship from The Miz. However, it wouldn't be a surprise to see Bad Bunny stop John Morrison from interfering in a Miz vs Drew McIntyre match, leading to McIntyre winning the title on his own and providing yet another reason for a Miz vs Bad Bunny match at Mania. Fans could see this match happen as quickly as the first Raw after the Elimination Chamber show. But do you think The Miz should drop the belt right away? If McIntyre regains the championship, should he face Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania? Lashley has been getting a monster push for the last year, but he's already wrestled McIntyre for the belt in 2020. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Next up, Vince stopped Sasha Banks from leaving WWE. Sasha Banks is firmly entrenched as a WWE main eventer, but once upon a time, the boss was ready to bail out on the WWE. The current SmackDown Women's Champion recently appeared on the Broken Skull sessions and discussed a number of subjects, including how she wanted to leave WWE back in 2019. Fans will likely remember Banks and Bayley dropping the Women's Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 35, and Banks disappearing for months. Now Sasha has revealed what happened. Depression was taking over, my mind was taking over, my thoughts were taking over. This place was being bigger than me, and I really lost myself because for a good 7 years, I didn't even hear my real name. I didn't hear Mercedes anymore. All I heard was Sasha Banks, and traveling on the road, we only got 1 to 2 days off. Around this time, fans began hearing rumors that Banks was unhappy with her status in WWE, but it's clear now that the problem was burnout. Banks continued explaining her situation to Austin, saying, "So I'm home, not even seeing what my real hair looks like. All I see is purple hair every single day. There were just so many things that were I let it control me. I let it take it and be like, this is too much, instead of being like, you know what, everything's good, breathe, everything's fine." At one point, Banks asked for a release, a rumor that was widespread at the time and which now turns out to have been true. Banks revealed, "I asked to leave and Vince was like, no." He said no. He said, "I'm gonna give you 30 days to think about it," and I took more than 30 days. Banks ultimately returned, turning heel and launching a savage feud with Becky Lynch that culminated in Banks and Bayley forming their Golden Role Models tag team. Needless to say, Banks' time off was just what she needed, as she'd been on a rollover since her return. Now, this story shows the exhaustion that comes with the WWE touring schedule, as well as how we know news rumors sometimes remain unconfirmed months or even here years. In 2019, WWE initially dismissed the rumors of Banks wanting to leave, but as we've seen, the rumors were true. This is another reminder that it's often difficult to report on news due to the misinformation that is spread by those inside the WWE. Next up, why John Morrison replaced Keith Lee. Keith Lee was scheduled to wrestle in the United States Championship Triple Threat match, but wasn't able to compete as he was not medically cleared. Now, the WWE could have made the match a regular match, but chose to run a fatal 4-way between Elias, Ricochet, John Morrison, and Mustafa Ali to replace Lee. But according to Dave Meltzer, they felt the match had to be a triple threat because they wanted to protect Bobby Lashley by having Matt Riddle pin Morrison rather than their champion. Now you know why they didn't do a singles match and why they were adamant about it, because Keith Lee not being in it made a singles match, but that just wouldn't work for what they were trying to do, so that's why they had to get Morrison in the match, or somebody. Could have been anyone in that third spot, because they needed. The WWE gave away the ending when it kept the match as a triple threat match, as it seemed unlikely Riddle would defeat Lashley after repeatedly jobbing to him. Nevertheless, the method of Lashley's loss was necessary to keep him strong and provide motivation for his post-match attack on Drew McIntyre after McIntyre won the Raw Elimination Chamber match. While the specifics behind Lee's absence remain unknown, it's now clear why the WWE had to keep the match as a triple threat encounter rather than a one-on-one contest between Lashley and Riddle. It should be interesting to see whether or not Lee competes for the US title when he does return to action, in light of the various rumors that Vince McMahon isn't big on Lee's wrestling persona. Next up, Seth Rollins praises Brodie Lee. As Seth Rollins is just one of many wrestlers who continue to honor the memory of the late great Mr. Brodie Lee. Rollins recently appeared on the bump and was asked how he reacted when he heard of Lee's untimely passing. That one hit me really hard. I was kind of away being a dad when his passing came through. Sudden would be an understatement. Untimely to say the least. His family, I loved them, and I loved him. I enjoyed every single second I got to spend with Brodie. And finally, the angry Miz girl reacts to Miz's second WWE title win. Last but not least, what a difference a decade can make with a wrestling fan. Longtime fans will always remember the first time the Miz won the championship, successfully cashing in against Randy Orton in November 2010, as well as the reaction from a young fan caught on camera who showed her complete disgust at the Miz's win, infamously becoming known as Angry Miz Girl. Angry Miz Girl, aka Kaylee, enjoyed a moment of fan fame as she won the 2010 Slammy for the WWE Universe Fan Reaction of the Year and got to meet the Miz as well. So what did Kaylee think about the Miz's second win? She chatted with Sportskeeda, revealing, "I personally think he's one of the best on the roster. I know it's a big change from my opinion 10 years ago, but I love him when he's a heel champion. I think he's got the personality for it down to a T." Now, although it remains to be seen how long the WWE's A-lister will hold on to the belt, there's no taking his name out of the record books as a two-time WWE champion. But there you have it, guys, the worldish wrestling news, stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.